Hi people, hope you all are keeping safe and still giving your best in the fight against COVID-19. People, today I'm going to present before you a new initiative of mine in which I'm planning to build a solution to help in the discovery of novel strategies for defeating COVID-19 through something known as knowledge graphs. Let me set the context first. As we all know, the COVID-19 situation in India is very, very serious now. The total number of cases in India is close to 14 lakh. Out of these, more than 4.6 lakh cases are still active. What is even more serious is the fact that more than 32,000 people have died in this country over the last 5 to 6 months from COVID-19. This is a very, very, very big number. Equally serious is the fact that India is now reporting about 50,000 new cases every day for the last few days. If this trend continues, in the next 10 days, we'll add another 5 lakh cases, and the total number of cases will go to 20 lakhs. This is a very, very, very serious situation. There is an urgent need to find a permanent solution for COVID-19. A permanent solution will be a vaccine which will be effective for all groups of people. It will be a drug which will be effective for all groups of people. Of the recoveries that have happened, of the 8 plus lakh people who have recovered from COVID-19 in India, there is no standard method of recovery. Different methods have been followed in different cases. What works for one group of people doesn't work for another group of people. And the real cause of worry is that only. Fortunately, many vaccines are in trial phase all over the world now. There are many drugs which are being very actively tested for their efficacy against COVID-19. The good news is some vaccines like the Oxford vaccine and Indian vaccines like Covaxin have shown good results in different phases of trials, in their respective phases of trials. However, even if these vaccines are successful in the final phases of trials, it will still be a long time before they are mass produced to cater to the entire population. And we don't know whether the virus is going to mutate or not. So there is no way we can be sure whether these vaccines, if at all they prove successful now, will continue to be effective in the future. If our previous experience is anything to go by, we'll realize that our expectations have been constantly blind. When COVID-19 first emerged in China in December 2019, January 2020, people thought that it would remain confined to China or maybe spread to nearby countries of East Asia. We have seen in the last 5 to 6 months how COVID-19 spread all over the world. There are now, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the world are close to 1.6 crore. More than 6 lakh people have lost their lives all over the world due to COVID-19. When COVID-19 cases first started coming in India in late January, early February, ultimately they increased in March, the government of India went for a total lockdown. The idea was to flatten the curve. We couldn't sustain the lockdown beyond 2 months. We had to unlock the country in different phases, and ultimately now we stand at 14 lakh cases with around 50,000 new cases coming every day with the testing being ramped up. And you never know what is the actual number of cases. It's only the people who are being tested which get counted into the, if positive, they get counted into the number of new cases. The effort from our side should be to prepare for the worst while still hoping for the best. It is very important for us to be able to contribute to find solutions to COVID-19. It is very important for us as well, for the citizens as well, for professionals as well, to help our scientists, help our researchers in discovering, in designing new drugs and new vaccines against COVID-19. Now, many people may say, how can lay citizens, how can we, how can I and you help in the discovery and design of drugs and vaccines? That is something to be tested by research and scientists. That is partially true. However, we must also recognize the fact that these vaccines, these drugs, are the result of research in which we can as well help. We can indirectly help our scientists in the research which they are doing by, for example, making it easier for them to navigate the research papers that are available to them. It is very important for us to help our researchers navigate through the entire set of research papers that is available to them so that they are very effectively able to discover different aspects of COVID-19. So that they are able to discover the vulnerabilities of COVID-19. They are able to discover the vulnerabilities of the virus. They are able to exploit, they are able to discover new strategies and exploit the vulnerabilities for the development of effective drugs and vaccines. Since the pandemic broke out in January, the disease broke out in January and turned into a pandemic close to March, thousands of researchers have been working day and night and producing enormous amount of literature on COVID-19. As of now, the total number of research papers on COVID-19 is more than 65,000. And many of those research papers are fortunately under an open access category. These research papers contain extensive information on COVID-19, information on the causative virus, information on the disease, information on the spread of the disease, information on genes, on chemicals, on proposed treatments, on vaccine trials, on impact of different environmental factors on COVID-19, etc., etc. However, since the number of these research papers is so large, no single person or group of people can navigate through the entire research. It is important to organize this research in such a way so that our scientists, our researchers are able to make use of it most effectively. It is important to consolidate this research as a part of a single whole, to unify this research as part of a single framework, whereby our scientists are able to parse different elements most effectively. Let me explain what I mean by this through an example. Suppose there is a new disease known as disease A, and it is discovered in some research by some researcher working in one part of the world that this disease A is caused by chemical B. Some other researcher working in another part of the world, maybe earlier, found that this chemical B is reduced by a drug C. Now, these are two different findings published in different research articles, maybe at different times by different researchers who have no contact with one another. And these articles may not be even effectively available on Wikipedia. Suppose one of the one research is yet not peer reviewed and not fully published. However, if you were able to access these articles and to connect them, you would see that as disease A is caused by chemical B and chemical B is reduced in the body by drug C, drug C is a potential treatment for disease A. And by disconnecting two different articles, we will be able to get the knowledge of this potential treatment, which can effectively be tested later. In this case, we are dealing with a limited number of identities, just 3 identities. We have a disease, a chemical, and a drug. But in the real world, the number of entities, the number of variables is huge. And the relationships may not be direct. You may not know directly that a chemical B is contributing to a disease A or drug C is contributing to reducing the level of chemical B in the body. The relationship between a chemical and a drug may be known by navigating some intermediary relationships. And it is this framework of interconnected relationships, which is known as a knowledge graph. Here I have shown a simple knowledge graph where we have a large number of nodes, a large number of vertices connecting those nodes. And if you want to find out relationship between two nodes, we'll have to navigate other nodes which lie between those two nodes. Only then we will be able to see how those two nodes are connected. So for example, if we want to find a relationship between, say, a chemical, say this is a chemical, and if you want to find a relationship between a chemical and a drug, we'll have to traverse these different paths, and only through this traversal will we be able to find a relationship. Now, most of you may already know about knowledge graphs. These knowledge graphs are a very powerful feature which help in connecting information spread over diverse sets. By doing that, They help in discovery of new relationships between seemingly unconnected entities and processes. So people may never have thought that such and such entities can really be connected. And the most important reason behind it is that the research which is actually going on, different people are working on research, on different aspects of this research. And the papers are being published in silos. They are not it's not like 5 or 6 papers which you can just discuss and interlink by yourself. The number of research papers is pretty huge, more than 65,000. If we are able to take these research papers and make a single, universal COVID-19 knowledge graph out of them, it will go a long way in discovering these relationships between seemingly disconnected entities, unrelated entities. And these relationships, the discovery of these relationships can also indirectly help in the development of drugs and vaccines by providing novel insights. Now, you may ask, it has been 6 months since COVID 19 first broke out. Do we not really have any COVID 19 knowledge graphs? And the question is valid. I'll be delving into the question more extensively in the next video. Suffice this to say now is yes, there are knowledge graphs available, but I found several limitations of them, which makes it difficult to actually achieve their true purpose. I look forward to discussing the limitations and further discussing the ways out in future videos in this series. Looking forward to meeting you in my next video, in video 2 of this series. Thank you.